Welcome viewers to a land of mysterious phenomena where the truth is covered by illusion, a part of gaming that's constantly picked at. Some call it Easter eggs, and others call it myths. The part of gaming that most overlook, except for me. In this segment, we'll cover the dark side of gaming. Unlike creepypastas, these are real, the horrors hidden within our favorite gens that we call video games. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the SOG-files.
Red Dead Redemption, a much beloved game from the last generation of gaming, one that tells a rough tale of a lone cowboy facing through his trials and tribulations. In the world of Red Dead Redemption, rumors exist that the state of New Austin isn't as barren as it may seem. Beneath the bandits and reckless proliferating behavior lies a much darker secret, a rather paranormal one, in parts of Austin, Mexico, primarily the #1 subject of this episode, tumbleweed. What is tumbleweed, you may ask? Well, it's one of the ghost towns located in the game, and it's one of the most prominently associated with paranormal activity. Once a bustling town in the 1800s, it quickly became this mystery as to, how the area was abandoned. Numerous theories exist, ranging from sensible ones to rather odd, laughable affairs, but the most logical assumption out of them all is due to the railroad in the game being built away from the town, causing trade issues, leading up to many people in Tumbleweed to simply leave the area, and this later becomes a gang hideout due to the intensifying lack of law enforcement and general population. That's really what Tumbleweed is. Now, Tumbleweed contains several key buildings, most notably the church that's atmosphere is haunting to an unnatural degree with its decrepitness and scrawls, most notably on the pulpit where it's written "The devil has got into the beast." Then we have the general store in the area, and assay office for mining purposes, a saloon, sheriff's office, complete with a jail as well, a barn, and then the mansion on top of the hill, which itself contains some odd phenomenon, and we'll get to that in the investigations that will follow. The mansion has 3 levels: the cellar, the first floor, and then the second floor. Numerous things are alleged to happen in the mansion, which we'll list off in the very first investigation. Reappearing animal skull in the lobby. Standing in the main entrance during the daytime and slowly turning the camera angle will cause a white figure to stand behind you. Noises of a woman grunting can be heard in the cellar if lanterns are hit. Lights in the mansion constantly flicker upon transitioning between rooms. The wall colors in the mansion are believed to change slowly and randomly. The sound of footsteps can be heard in the mansion. This, however, is believed to be hidden NPCs triggering the footsteps, and this is occurring by a piece of code in the game. At about 6 p.m. game time, footprints will appear on the stairs to the cellar located in the mansion. A ghost woman can occasionally be spotted on the top floor of the mansion. Upon detection, she will walk a few steps and then disappear. At 4:03 in-game time, a faint "how do you do" is heard. At 8 p.m. in-game time on Saturday, a ghost light can be found flashing a whitish-green color. Once again, these are just rumors, but again, this is a series where anomalies such as this will be analyzed to uncover the truth behind the phenomenon in the world of video games. So with that being said, let's get behind the very first investigation of the mansion in Tumbleweed. This begins our investigation of the mansion. Again, we're just going to do a first straight shot run through the mansion. This is the skull rumor, as was mentioned earlier. Now, once that's shot down, watch. We're actually going to run out of here, and I'm going to show you how it respawns. So I'm going to try to keep it in control as much as I can, but the camera's really fighting its way through. So there we are. And, yeah, I made a little issue there. But we're going to run back, and I'll show you that the animal skull does respawn. Now, I haven't really recognized this as another part of the game, perhaps. Again, I haven't even looked that hard enough for this appearance to happen in other locations. But it's usually due to the game reloading the area. It's what Rockstar does best, actually, in their games. It actually just despawns and deloads certain parts, and then reloads them later on when needed to keep appropriate space. And we're just going to go right to the cellar. Once again, there is really nothing here, and I'm actually going to shoot these lanterns to hear a one grunting, if you will. And I'm going to amplify the audio here. And we're actually going to walk through the mansion right here. You will be able to hear some footsteps and creaking. Again, the audio is amplified throughout the investigation. Just around there, you must have heard some creaking and footsteps. Now, the entire rumor about the flickering between room transitions can actually be solved quite easily. What happens is the game will reload, again, certain parts of the area. I believe it's called culling. The game will actually just deload parts that you're not seeing and reload them instantly upon, putting them into your vision in the game. So it's not entirely, weird. Yeah, nothing really present in the area here, but the atmosphere definitely is creepy. Now we're going to look upstairs for the ghost woman. And again, this is captured through numerous investigations, and nothing really... I'll let you try to see what happens. There is some phenomenon that appears here, but I'll get to it in a second. There are some chests. The ghost woman doesn't really appear, I guess you could say, but we'll try to find it if we can. We'll go through the rooms right here. Now, one thing that I have to mention is, I didn't really notice it in other areas of the game prominently, but the doors seem like they open for you in this section of the game. I don't know if that's a bug or what's going on, or if they normally open, but if you look very carefully, I'll show you what I mean here. And this is one part that scared me rotten, though, and this sort of could be considered the flickering, but we'll get to it in a second. I'll show you when, is when you go into the room here on the right. Again, the door opens automatically, and it's like the light just shines on, but then again, that is the game loading up the area once it's in your player's field of view. The ghost woman isn't present, but the creaking and footsteps can definitely be heard. Now, what follows next is a shorter compilation of other rumors that we still have yet to track down in the investigation. This is again captured through numerous investigations over several hours of gameplay. Now, this first one is the footsteps leading to the cellar, but the stairs, I'm not quite sure which ones they are, so we're going to check both of them at the same time. So this is the ones that are directly from the outside to the cellar inside the mansion. Again, I'm not really seeing footsteps, and I'll point out if the footsteps are mine, but I'm trying to keep this as naked as possible. There are no footsteps here. I'm using the highlight, the color tone highlight trick here to see if there are footsteps, but there are nothing. This is from the inside of the mansion, though. Once again, to the naked eye, there are no footsteps, even using the highlight trick. None there. The highlight trick, once again, raises... It allows you to see the footprints a little better. Now, this is a section where we're going to try to hear the words, "How do you do?" So I'm going to be really quiet and amplify the audio. Now, nothing but creaking has been heard, and there was no "how do you do." Now, this is the final section where on Saturday we're supposed to see ghastly apparitions down here, some orbs where the lights are going to be whitish and green. And as you're seeing on the walls, there is one thing I have to point out, is the shadows are sort of crawling in, and that really goes back to what I said about the flickering, is the game really has to deload and load certain aspects. See how I'm trying to point out over here? It's like it's been split up into like two separate sections. And once again, I am trying to rush through it because I want to make sure I'm in that time segment. Now, that concludes the investigation of the mansion in Tumbleweed, and as far as phenomenon goes, a lot was unproven. In fact, almost I think everything in the rumors remain just that, rumors. Now, there are some events that do occur, such as bats that cycle back and forth each day, as you're seeing in the footage right over here, but that really was the investigation of Tumbleweed. The footsteps were really non-existent, the mist really wasn't there. In fact, a lot of it can be explained through the technical workings of the engine itself. I mean, the flickering that would appear, and you saw it at one point where the light instantly shone on the door, that really occurs due to how the game handles lighting and how the game handles deloading of objects. See, if you don't understand how Rockstar sort of develops the open world games in order to have good graphics, it must pretty much cut back on things that you're not seeing. So if something is not in the player's viewpoint, and this can be explained as if you're playing Grand Theft Auto and there's a skyscraper in your vision, anything behind the skyscraper is then deloaded to save on memory and then put it towards what you're seeing for optimum graphical fidelity. Same thing in Red Dead Redemption. There are things that are deloaded and then reloaded. That can also explain the animal skull. Now, things such as the apparitions that were supposed to appear or the mists, they didn't really appear, and this was the raw capture that I had, uncompressed video. And I was desperately trying to look for it. In fact, I raised color curves several points in that investigation. I put on some, I tried to correct the color as much as I can to point out what a white apparition would look like. I amplified the noise and nothing really was detected. So that really goes to show you that the rumors are pretty much just that, rumors. Now, once again, this is the Xbox 360 footage, so things could be different on the PS3 version. I've tried the PS3 version. For the most part, they are identical. But that's really just one part of Tumbleweed, the mansion. In the next investigation, we're going to take a look at the buildings and the rest of the Tumbleweed area. Now, the town of Tumbleweed is another beast in itself. It contains rumors, making the mansion seem tame in comparison. For example, do you know the devil runs this decrepit church, allegedly? Well, let's go over the town again. We have a saloon, sheriff's office, and jail, a barn, and some residences, and finally, as stated earlier during the rundown, we have a chapel. Now, the rumors behind this town go as follow. A white mist appears in the saloon when you look into the corner quickly, even during the day. The howl of a dog is heard, but no dog is present. In the middle window of one side of the church, at the bottom right pane, a satanic face is said to be present. A devil can appear in the church, but at this point, it is unconfirmed and no true method exists, although the most widely believed one is hitting the altar with a fire bottle. On the multiplayer spectrum of the game, near the white bunker house, a face is seen looking through the window. Now this begins the investigation for the town, the compilation investigation, containing numerous investigation footage. And first off, we're starting in the church area, so this is just general scanning for sound. Here I'm actually getting explosive items to throw at the altar. Again, audio is going to be boosted up. Now, I know you're supposed to use fire bottles, which we'll get to in a little bit. Actually, we'll get to it right now. Here we are, later on, in the day actually, just switching up times, and we have 5 fire bottles. And we're going to throw them one by one here and there just to try to summon this devil. So that's the first fire bottle.
If they want to hurt them, I'll give them a hurt.
Now, other than the frame rate dropping a little, we didn't actually summon a devil, and I've tried this numerous times and no devil has actually been summoned, so this is really nothing major. Now here we're actually going to check for the devil satanic faces in the window. So I've pretty much brought out some rifles here with scopes just to get the max zooming we can, and I'll tell you what I think much later on here. So we're just going to go through it. I'm pausing the game to sort of bring some highlights to the window through the in-game color filter. I apologize for the rain. It started to happen in the game. So there really aren't satanic faces that are appearing on the windows, and I've checked every pane. Usually what I really think is the case here, and this is the same for many other games, is that this is a common texture that's been put onto the game, and it's pretty much put into every single window in this area or in any other window in the game, just to save space on the disk and to save time during development. As you can see, there's really no defining feature that I'm really bringing out here in the footage. So that myth or rumor really doesn't have a basis, I guess. And once again, excuse for the thunder. Here's from the inside of the chapel, and we're really looking through, and there's no face that I'm really seeing through here, even with the highlight that I'm, that's why I'm pausing the game. And once again, you yourself can also pause the footage to see if there is anything in the panes. Here's just a general investigation of the town. We're just going to go run through every building. These ones don't really have a rumor into them, but just to see the town of Tumbleweed and to see if there's anything else here possibly with us, I'm going to check every building. And this is also to disprove the dog rumor, where if you hear the noise of the dog must be present. It's not really the case. Once again, you are hearing the dog in the background, but there is no dog present. The sun is coming up soon in the game, so we don't really have much time for this investigation section, but again, this is compiled through numerous investigations. And once again, we leave no dollars left uncollected, if you will. And there are people that go through Tumbleweed here and there, so if you ever throw weapons and you hear voices, it's usually the people going into Tumbleweed and out of the area. It is kind of weird when you hear this creaking as well when you're just outside. Usually it's very present in the mansion. This is inside of one of the homes. I believe this is the assay office, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the White Bunker House, which we'll investigate a little later on in the multiplayer as well, but I'll see if there is something as well in the area in the single player, even though it is rumored to be just in the multiplayer section of the game itself. And now the sun is coming up, and we really don't have much left. Here's a general store, and that is the assay office. Once again, nothing is really present, but then again, the sun is coming up. And I will show you the saloon in a bit later on in itself. This is the barn area before we finish seeing. This is actually captured through numerous, again, different investigations, but nothing really occurred in the barn. In fact, there was a rumor where a horse was to appear, a very sickly horse that was almost dying, and once you see it in the barn, it was supposed to be near the top of the near top of a hill, but it's not present. So here's the saloon, and once again I apologize for the rain. Yeah, nothing is here. There's no white mist. There is thunder, of course. Again, there is no mist that appears in the area. Again, I've captured through numerous investigations and I could not detect a mist. Even when I amplify some of the editing through color curves here, you won't really see the mist, or it won't be very prominent. But I'll go upstairs and show you what the area looks like at the top of the saloon. And there's really just one room. But there is something interesting about the room. There are bunnies in the area. See, as you see on the ground here, just scattering around. These can be killed and skinned, as I'll show you right here. Once again, in the game, you do not leave any skin or fur untouched. But yeah, they appear here and they're killable through Deadeye, so it's nothing too odd, if you will. And this is the view from the top. We'll just jump down. And nothing really prominent except for a chest in the game here. Now, this is the multiplayer section. Of course, you can tell by the different character here. This is just a multiplayer part of the game, and we're going to the White Bunker House. So I'm going to look through all the windows, and it is the right time. There is nothing really in the windows, as you'll see, but we'll scan through them anyways. Again, I'll look through every window because it wasn't really specified in the rumor which window it was. But this is the White Bunker House. And as you can hear, the dog is also present in the multiplayer section of the game, but there is no dog that is present in the area. It's just a sound file that will play in the game. And although there is nothing that is seen through the windows of the White Bunker House, I'm going to go again inside the multiplayer and see if there is some mist or something, or some apparition in the house. There's nothing on the ground floor, and there seems to be nothing on the top floor as well. And this does conclude our investigation of the town. Now, that investigation for the most part remained a tad underwhelming, and to be honest, one fact does remain, and that is Tumbleweed is incredibly eerie. It definitely sets itself apart from the rest of New Austin or Mexico. The phenomenon can be disproven a tad, however. For one, the dog howling noise, which you may think is creepy, is really caused by the game code keeping the howl of a dog, which is a generic sound file that's just coded to plain towns. Since Tumbleweed is registered as his town in the game, it's flagged as that in the game code. The dog howling noise will play even without the dog actually being present. Yes, it's creepy, but it does make sense in the way the game is coded. It's sort of a coincidence, if you will. On the multiplayer front, however, I didn't notice the face in the bunker house, and I assumed it was just a myth forged by the community. Again, these were mostly rumors. The devil was unseen in the chapel, and I didn't expect the devil to be there at all, although the phrase the altar is very unsettling, and just the whole environment of that chapel felt very unsettling when I was playing the game and recording the footage at the time. But again, these are all rumors. None of them were really set in stone. But it was interesting to see how there was some really weird things going on in the place. I mean, as compared to the rest of the towns in the game, whether you go to Thieves Landing, Armadillo, any place, Tumbleweed sets itself apart. There is something off going on. There is some phenomena that exists. Some people get lucky and they see these things, some people don't. It depends on what the game is, but for sure there is some stuff going on here. And there was a lot of meticulous care put into how this place looked and how this place felt for it to give such strong, creepy vibes off. In the end, Tumbleweed is a tad underwhelming, but is this the best investigation ever? No, not at all, not even close. But I did try personally to bring you the most comprehensive search I could, and with over 6 hours of footage recorded, I can definitely say, for me personally, I've found, I've tried to look for almost everything, every different variable, and I've condensed it down to give you the most thorough investigation I could. But then again, no one said that these rumors were going to actually exist, but one thing is for sure, that is what the charm of the SOG-files is. It's a whole investigative procedure, and it is fun in the process. Now, in the end, even after the investigation and reading the various news clippings in the game, one thing is for sure, Tumbleweed is very unsettling, and it parallels to the Sprunk Factory in Grand Theft Auto 4 for, just an example off the top of my head. But that's a whole different game and SOG-files episode for another time. But this concludes our 4th episode of the SOG-files. Will we return to Red Dead Redemption another time? Of course we will, but, please tell me of more phenomenon or game candidates for the SOG-files. This has been another episode, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Mudahar, and I'll see you all another time.